Call the council meeting to order. Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, take the roll, please.
O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Alms.
Here.
DeZio.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Atkins Hoggett. Here. Hall.
Here. All right. Before we get started, I did want to at least acknowledge tonight the passing of the chair of the town of Hudson, Jeff Johnson, and passed early this morning. Jeff was a good friend of the city of Hudson and a great partner, and he's going to be quite a loss for the entire Hudson community. So I just at least wanted to acknowledge that tonight. We'll probably hear more. I don't think any of the arrangements have been made yet, but please keep Jeff's family in your prayers and thoughts. Appreciate that. Next, fire explorers at the Minnesota State Fair. Chief.
Honorable Mayor, common council members, just kind of like to give you a little bit of background, but really mainly here to recognize our fire explorers. They've been around since 2004, and the Fire Explorer Post is part of the Boy Scouts of America. They're affiliated with that, but they're run through the Hudson Fire Department. They meet twice a month, usually on Sunday evenings, and they also are able to participate with us in our training sessions. And it's for men and women from the ages of 14 to 21. When they hit the age of 16, that we're allowed to put them through the state firefighter certification for schooling, so they go basically the same right with our firefighters, and they get state certified. Some of them even come on to state certified to level 2 while they're still explorers. They do participate in a lot of different activities, do some fundraising. They also participate in the Axe Games, which happens in St. Paul in the spring. And then kind of the culmination of the really big event is the Governor's Cup at the State Fair. And it consists of all different kind of skill sets. It's all day long. And there's anything like CPR, search and rescue, spinal mobilization, obstacle course, and a bunch of other skills courses and fire prevention. Now, this year, I believe there's 35 teams from multiple states, and Hudson placed second out of the 35 teams, which is really incredible, especially with the size of our post and that. Obviously, it's great that they've done well, and a lot of these kids also do well in school and participate in other activities. One thing I really kind of want to mention is, out of this group since 2004, 7 of them have become members of the Hudson Fire Department, are currently on the department. So it's a great feeder program for us, and we get a chance to know them before they come on. But they're all obviously giving back a lot to the fire department also. So I'd like to just, right now we have, I think, 8 current members, and we have 7 advisors, 4 of which are explorers who were newly hired. And then we have a couple of our advisors here, Mike J.C. and Brian Lorenzen, and they've been on the department for 9 and both. And they give a lot of their time and make sure all this stuff runs right and to set up the trainings, and then let the explorers on the Sunday nights and then the different times. So I really appreciate them putting their time in above and beyond all of our trainings, the time they put in going on runs. So I'd like to have the explorers come up and introduce themselves.
I'm Jacob, and I'm the vice president of the Explorer Post, so I get to work with all these guys and do all the trainings every week. And just doing the governor's thing was really, I don't know, I thought it was awesome. That was really fun.
Hold that up. Hold it up so you can see it. Yay.
I'm Coleman, and like Jacob said, I thought that the Governor's Cup was really fun this year.
I'm Mitchell Idle. I think that it was really cool getting to experience the Governor's Cup because I got to learn a lot of new skills on the way.
I'm Landon Potter, and I joined right before the Governor Prevention, but I still enjoyed seeing all the new skills I was going to learn.
I'm Dylan Sajasi, and like Landon, I also joined right after the cup, but it was good to watch and learn.
I'm Thomas Finner Inflict. I have only recently joined this group, and it's been fun to learn all these skills that I am learning.
Well, again, thanks, guys. And one thing I really did forget to mention is they will show up too once they get some certification, and we'll allow them to show up to the fire scenes, and they help out doing some things in the, picking up hoses and helping out. But a lot of times too, when we get back, they really work hard on cleaning hoses and helping clean up and do a lot of the hard work. So they really are an integral part of the fire department too. So I'd just like to recognize them and appreciate all the hard work they do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on this job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Who wants to take these back and give them to your supervisors? Okay. Thanks, guys. Nice job.
Thank you.
All right, next we have comments and suggestions from citizens present. Your opportunity to talk about anything you'd like to talk about. Is anybody here that has a comment? Any comments? Any comments? Any comments? Close that portion of the agenda. Discussion and possible action on consent agenda items.
Consent agenda items for tonight's meeting are the approval of the meeting minutes from the November 19th and December 3rd council meetings, approval of claims in an amount of $1,376.92, winter maintenance operations policy, fee for shoveling non-compliant sidewalks, conditional use permit application for a hillside lift at 1826 River Ridge Road, submitted by Melvin and Jacqueline Ashford. Conditional use permit, 3-month review for K9 Playtime LLC to operate a commercial dog kennel dog daycare facility at 1400 Gateway Circle.
Please pull that one, please.
2019 Animal Humane Society contract renewal.
Can you pull that, please?
Voucher payment authorizations. School speed zone signs by EP Rock Elementary.
Please pull that one.
November 13th and December 11th Public Utilities Commission meeting minutes. Third quarter utilities report. Discussion and possible action on approval of the purchasing of a geographic information system, GIS licensing, training and supporting equipment for the City of Hudson. Request use of council contingency funds for updating the Public Works standard specifications and detail plates. Approval of 2 operator licenses, and approve the second-hand article dealer license renewal to the Old Coin Shop.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and second to approve, with the exception of items F, G, and I. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Item F, conditional use permit for the 3-month review for. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Wow.
Sorry. Morrison.
Yes.
Alms.
Yes.
DeZiel.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Atkins Hagen.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved. All right, back to item F, conditional use permit, 3-month review for K9 Playtime LLC to operate a commercial dog kennel dog daycare facility at 1400 Gateway Circle.
I guess my question on that, there were conditions for this approval. Permit to be reviewed in 3 months to evaluate the volume and amount of time of dog barking following efforts by K9 Playtime to remedy the problem. And I'm not seeing any evidence, or so what were the results, and how do we measure it? I guess if we're going to do these things, let's have the data.
Did you want to, I mean, this came before the Plan Commission.
Yes, and that was in August of this year, the first time, and we had some neighboring residents, I don't want to say complain, but have some serious concerns about, how many dogs are out at a time, the sounds or the barking that occurred when a number of dogs were out at the same time. So the discussion back in August was, okay, well, let's look at it again in 3 months, allow the owner and operator to put together a implementation plan to limit the amount of dogs going out at one time, and to work with the neighbors to make sure that, their concerns were addressed. I think, the conversation, I wasn't at that Plan Commission meeting, but I do know, there are, it is a kennel, it's a commercial kennel. You will have some barking. Sure. And how do you, I think they've done an admirable job of trying to limit the amount of dogs coming out at a time, the hours in which those dogs are out in the fenced-in area. So I don't know if
Jim,
Morsick.
There were two concerns, I believe, that were brought up by the residents around there. One was said in favor of it, that they're okay with it. There was no problems. They left me an email. I did forward that for a part of the record. The other one is just, she hears it all the time, so it's two of them. The owners came to the Plan Commission, and Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, and they presented out a whole list of things that they have in place as a policy they operate on, and taking care of any issues that would come up for any dog outside. So if they had one complaint, it goes to them. I don't think this is right. I think it's supposed to be a 3-year review, not every 3 months.
Correct.
So the item on here is supposed to be 3-year, not a 3-month review.
The issue sheet is correct. It says approve the conditional use permit to be reviewed in 3 years, December of 2021.
Okay. So Jim,
What
they
going
were
on-
addressed.
I'm going back to the, it was nice we had all the various reports to go back. It took a while to figure that out. But one of the concerns I have is the original, if you go back to the original approval, they were only supposed to have 10 dogs out at a time. And now, that's when one of their solutions now is to go back to having 10 dogs out at a time. So they pushed the boundaries from what I can read of what was approved. So it's just, who is documenting this, who's tracking this, did we go back and ask the residents if there was an improvement?
They did. And one said no, one said yes, there's no.
No.
The original?
Did anybody go back this week and ask those residents, anybody from the city, not the dog owners? I wouldn't. That's not a resource for me. Did anybody from the city go back, because this is our control here? Did we actually ask anybody? How do we know?
From
lack of information, lack of hearing anything is not evidence in my mind.
No, I was contacted, if that's what you're asking, by a constituent up there. They had no problem.
They are in my constituent area.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So.
It's for the record. It's in the record.
Right.
From 2014 or from earlier this year?
Earlier this year.
Okay. So we mailed out notice too. We mail out notice at least 10 days in advance. And then obviously it's a public hearing at Plan Commission. So all the neighboring residents and business owners are sent mailings. I don't have the whole mailing list in here, but I believe it went out to about 200 to 250 feet. I did get the other person Morissette's email, as well as one other one to say that it had gotten somewhat better. Yeah. But again, if we're looking at a measurable, something that we can, do we go out there and stand? And, it's hard for us to, should we go out there every time we let dogs out, make sure it's only 10?
I guess my concern is let's not do these kind of things if we're not going to set up how we're going to measure it. It's just kind of saying, if we don't hear anything, it was good. Well, that's not really the way most of our constituents operate. And if I had the foresight to read this before yesterday, I probably would have tried to contact, because I've actually been on Carriage Drive on Saturdays, and I think that's further than 250 feet when those dogs are barking, and it's obnoxious, and I'm a dog lover. I go to dog parks all the time, but that's it's just the way I'm not questioning whether this is right or not. I'm just saying, are we doing this soundly and we're doing appropriately? We should have been in contact at least with the person, and I would have been happy to do that if I'd have been alert enough. So, okay.
I'll move we approve under a 3-year contract review process.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's. You opposed, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Motion's approved. Item G, 2019 Animal Humane Society contract renewal.
Well, I'm the one that pulled that. I just had a couple of questions. And maybe Brenda will be able to answer. I'm not positive, but I just wondered about how much total that we've paid. Is Brenda still here? Like either this year to date or last year, or what kind of expenses are we talking about for this?
Devin, do you recall what's in the budget?
I don't recall off the top of our head. The whole budget for the dog or the animal licensing is about $8,000. That includes what we pay Kathy Pellner and what we pay Animal Humane Society. They do require reimbursement, so if someone does go and pick up their dog, they can't, or dog or cat, they have to reimburse them before they can.
So
the
right,
whole entire department budget's about $8,000, I think.
Okay. So I was just wondering if there was a way for us to recover. It's when they, so if a person loses a pet and they have to go pick them up at the Humane Society, they get charged, which is fine, as they well should. But it seems to me that then we get charged $21 for administrative processing every time somebody does go pick up their pet, according to this contract. Yeah. Is there a way for us to, if it's only like 5 a year, then, but if it's a substantial number, is there a way for us to recover that from that?
And I don't have the
resident?
answer to that. I don't know what the policy is as far as what we can request they pay us by. I mean, it might be an ordinance.
Or could
we had set it up? I mean, even before this contract, the charges were could be put on taxes as a special
why aren't we charging that? Why don't they just charge the people an extra $21? Why does the city have to pay that? If I lose my dog and go pick up my dog.
And I don't have the answer to that right now.
Right. Yeah. It's strange.
I certainly can check with them and verify what exactly they do charge them, and then let everybody know.
Devin and I can look,
does that make sense what I'm saying?
Correct, and it could be that they are charging them. It's just that they're charging us that $21 fee on their expense, but the revenue might be coming in. So we'll take a look at it.
Okay, that'd be great.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I would just be curious to know about how much revenue annually, or how many expenses annually we're paying for that. And has there ever been a conversation about finding a no-kill shelter rather than one that defines their holding period and then has euthanasia at their discretion?
Not since I've been here.
Well, I think they did change, at least for cats. The contract changed several years ago, whereby they return them, I think, to the city, or it was in response to those concerns. No, I can't remember now, but it was a whole different philosophy that they had in the past, but I don't recall exactly what it was.
I mean, this contract pretty clearly spells out that at their discretion with their holding length of time that they are free to enforce their euthanasia services.
And I know when we looked at it a couple 3 years ago, they were they're the only
limited.
game in town
A game
for
in
us.
town.
I don't believe that Coco's, I don't believe operates under those. I don't think we can, wouldn't be able to take them from Animal Humane Society and then
Okay.
take them to, but
We'll check into it.
Well, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Motion? Anything?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Item I, school speed zone signs at EP Rock Elementary.
Yeah, Public Safety had this, and Joyce and I had a great conversation over it. We moved it out of committee. The problem here is the lack of communication with this committee and the duties of the City of Hudson and the school district. It wasn't communicated properly. It was the first we all heard of this. So I want to make it very clear that there is the separation between the school district and the City of Hudson, but we're all trying to find common ground and make things safe for everybody. I think it was just a lack of communication between you coming on to the new job, Mike coming on to the new job, the other Mike coming on to the new job, and it fell through the cracks. It doesn't mean I'm opposed to a safe zone up there, but we need to be in communication with public safety and this committee. What's it called, Jeff?
Was the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission.
And I don't know if that was attached to your particular sheets, but their recommendation, go ahead, Jeff, you take it over.
Well, back in, I want to say 2017, this commission approached the school district with extra grant funds that they had available to perform this study. So they asked the school district if they'd want to join this study because it was going to be free. So the school district said, sure.
The study was Safe Routes to School.
Safe Routes to School, yep. And then, so they formed what the study calls a task force, but it really wasn't a task force. It was, they tried to get leaders from the school district as well as the different departments within the city and the village of North Hudson and the county together to see, to kind of work, form a partnership, so to speak, to try and develop safe options for kids to get to school by walking and biking. Because when they did their surveys as part of the study, the parental concerns are the traffic volumes and speeds of traffic, that they don't let their kids walk and bike to school. So they did this study to try and come up with options or recommendations that could be followed to maybe address some of these issues. So that's what this kind of group was tasked with, is coming up with different recommendations based off the study of either the school district could perform, or the city could perform, or the village or the county, or could work together as a collaboration to make some of these things happen. So that's kind of how that study all came to fruition. And then one of the recommendations was up around EP Rock Elementary, was that there were no school warning signs for that zone. So that's where that recommendation came from. Did I explain that brief enough but in-depth enough?
Hopefully everybody got a study to read through. 500 parents out of, 1,800 were surveyed?
Yes.
There's some good information in there, but I think it's something to be aware of as a city if we're getting recommendations from that group.
It would sound like we need to hear from them, from the Safe Routes to School Committee, as to what the plan is.
We did actually. This was the second time we had it. Tim Erickson from the school came and chatted with me and Joyce and Jeff.
Okay, so it should have happened earlier. Is that
correct? It was just a breakdown in communication. We all want everybody safe going to schools, but it just seemed odd. It just kind of fell out of nowhere.
Yeah, we didn't know that. You guys weren't in the loop on that. You know, but with Marty leaving and Tom leaving and everybody kind of left, and then we just started getting invited to this thing. And
yeah, I
mean, I bought into it right away. I think it's a good idea, but yeah, I agree with you that everybody kind of needs to be on the same page.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, I wanted you guys to be aware of this study, and then so we can make good decisions moving forward. So I will move we approve this request at this point.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion's approved. Thanks, Chief. Discussion and possible action on ordinance 29-18, repeal section 106-20, erosion and sediment control, and amend section 240-10 of the municipal code, modification of erosion control and stormwater management. David.
Good evening. Thanks, Mayor. It's kind of a mouthful. Chapter 240 and our MS4 program was adopted last year, and in doing so, it really made our Chapter 106-20 redundant. And I'm looking to, for those reasons, I'm looking to repeal 106-20 and eliminate that and use our MS4 moving forward for construction, stormwater, and erosion control. In addition, just reviewing that MS4 adoption, the DNR model ordinance has a place for adopting inspection fees for construction sites. When we adopted it last year, we did not include that fee section, so I'm asking that we include power in that ordinance so that we can adopt construction erosion control fees. And by doing so, we're going to move away from adopting or collecting erosion control deposits, which we're finding is pretty cumbersome and time consuming administratively for our staff. And then also the fourth item would be to establish the fees that will ultimately be adopted with Brenda's fee schedule.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion and second to suspend. Roll call.
Morrison.
Yes.
Alms.
Yes.
DeZiel.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Atkins Hoggett.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Rules are suspended.
Move to adopt 29-18.
Second.
Got a motion and second to adopt. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Discussion and possible action on the sale of utility department property located at 815 5th Street.
Good evening. For the past 4 weeks, we've had that property for sale. We were accepting proposals on that property. Everything closed on December 13th at 1 o'clock. We did opening here at City Hall. We did receive 2 proposals on it. They are in your packets under the issue sheet. So I guess what I'm looking for tonight is action by City Council to authorize the mayor to sign the purchase sale agreement, and then once we get to the closing, to have him sign the closing documents on that too. So, and I'm assuming that you want the highest priced proposal.
I think so.
I think we did well on that.
I move we authorize mayor to sell the property at the highest proposal.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action on increasing sewer rates.
As part of the 2019 budget that was approved in November, there was a sewer rate increase that was needed in the fund just to simply fund the operating deficit in the fund. So we're proposing that sewer rate goes from $2.75 per 100 cubic feet to $3 per 100 cubic feet. The last increase was in 2017. And we did some rate comparisons to surrounding communities, and even with this fee increase, we're substantially lower. We're at $194 per year compared to $331 and $492 per year. The sewer rate needs to be approved by ordinance, and so I'm asking you to adopt ordinance 30-18.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to suspend. Roll call.
Morissette.
Yes.
Alms.
Yes.
DeZiel.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Atkins Hoggett.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved, rules are suspended.
Motion to approve, I don't have the ordinance number.
30-18.
Thank you, 30-18.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action regarding resolution 22-18.
Correct. At Finance tonight, we talked about the 2019 fee schedule. Many of these fees were included in the proposed and adopted 2019 budget. If there's any questions regarding those increases that are proposed. And then David had the change tonight, and that's reflected in this resolution 22-18 regarding the erosion control.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion and second to suspend. Roll call.
Morissette.
Yes.
Alms.
Yes.
DeZiel.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Atkins Hoggett.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved, rules are suspended.
Move to adopt resolution number 22-18.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Can I just ask a question about that, one of the fees? One of the fees, sorry.
Pardon me?
Can I ask a question about one of the fees? It's not going to change the vote.
Okay.
Just Brenda, just a clarification.
Yes.
So I'm on page 6, I guess, of that document you had, where it says 1 and 2 family residential. There's like 2 columns, and it says 150 in the left, and the right hand says like 500, which I think was a deposit column. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. The columns on the right are the deposits, and then the columns on the left are fees. And so we are going from collecting a deposit that we would return once they met certain requirements to a fee.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Discussion of possible action regarding 2019 to 2023 capital improvements plan.
At the meeting in October, on October 22nd, city staff presented the 2019 and 2020 capital projects to the council. And then the Finance Committee talked about bonding for the projects in 2019 and 2020 at the November 12th meeting to verify that those projects, especially in 2019, 2020, how they would fit within our debt structure within the city. Tonight, I'm asking council if they want to make any changes to the CIP or capital improvement plan, and then to approve the capital improvement plan. They're detailed in your packet tonight. And next steps, if you approve the CIP, would be at January 21st meeting. There will be a presentation on the proposed fire station. February 25th, we would review the pre-sale reports for bonding. March 25th, we would award the construction bids for the fire station. And then on April 8th, we would approve the issuance of the bonds and notes.
I have a question. I had brought up earlier during the process about reducing what we borrowed from the undesignated fund balance and wondering if there's an appetite to reduce it, since overall it does not increase the mill rate or the capital, the payment to borrow a little more instead of reducing our undesignated fund.
Correct. Right now, at that November meeting, we had talked about using $2 million worth of the general fund undesignated fund balance. That still keeps us within our fund balance policy. But if council wishes to move that $2 million down to maybe $1.5 million, $1,750,000, you certainly can do that, and we can see what the effects of that would be on the mill rate.
I'd kind of like to suggest 1.5 if anybody's
What do you mean by that, Brenda? See what effects it has on the mill rate?
Well, because we would be bonding for another 500,000, and so we would need to look and see what that looks like in our debt structure.
Wouldn't it drop it?
No, because we'd be bonding for more.
You'd be taking less
Not
on.
much, but
And it wouldn't be a lot on the
like
mill rate.
pennies on the
I
from-
think, yeah, we're talking pennies. Yeah, we're talking pennies.
Yeah.
So that's a council can decide that.
I agree with you. I don't want to mess with the mill rate much, but to me, spending the undesignated doesn't make sense if it's just a couple pennies more to do it on a bond issue.
And we'll be looking in January at what the $7 million, what the project looks like at $7 million.
So what's your thinking, Randy? I mean,
1.5 and then borrow.
Did you? I got that, but did you want? Do we need to put notice out there for this, Kathy? Can we act on this tonight?
Well, do you?
Tonight, we're actually just asking you to approve the capital improvement plan for 2019 to 2023. Okay. But you could recommend and not, just have a consensus to use the 1.5 instead of the 2.
I don't want to slow the project down. But I just.
So this is just the 5-year plan. Should be bringing back numbers for the actual.
So we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
That's fine.
Yep.
And see the ramifications.
Is that okay, Randy?
Yeah.
That work?
Okay.
Okay. Everybody good with that? But in the meantime,
Are there any questions regarding the projects that are in the 5-year plan? Were there concerns of any of those projects?
I had a concern or question, I guess, about the Buckeye Garage restroom upgrades.
Okay.
In our tour of the facilities earlier this fall, I think there might be a possible conversation in the rather near future about having one facility for Public Works rather than all these islands of stuff, and including Buckeye. And so it doesn't, I don't know, I want to make sure that it really makes sense to put $50,000 into a restroom that we may or may not own in a little while.
I had the same question, and Mike had a good answer.
I did.
Yes, you did.
Wow, good. Hopefully I can reiterate that.
Oh,
I think from, no kidding. I think from the city's perspective, whether we lease that building or continue to utilize that building, we're still going to want public restrooms down in that area for the boat users and people of the park. So from my perspective, what I'm thinking of, if we do lease it to another business to come in there, we still want to have access for the public that are using our parks to utilize that space, and the $50,000 would go towards an uplift, our facelift, toilets, urinals, lighting, flooring, stanchions, that kind of thing. So I guess that's kind of my recommendation. Even though we wouldn't be in that building, we would lease it to another potential business that would want to go in there, and we would still use those restrooms as public restrooms. Because otherwise we're spending $500,000 on new restroom facilities along the lakefront, which we have other things that we want to put money towards.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And Mike, as long as you're there, for the Grandview restroom, is that more of a, I think we talked about this at Public Works, but is that more of the pavilion type like at White Camp?
Correct. It would be something similar to the one in White Camp. It would be near the playground, and definitely was in the park plan as a need up there, especially with the dog park now being up there. The baseball diamonds, the Castle Park playground. So right now there really is no suitable option, kind of a couple of satellite toilets. So definitely a need in that area, especially as how heavily used it is by the public.
And that could also be rented out like we do at White Camp too for parties or whatnot.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Are the radios in here for the police department?
The radios are in there for the police department in 2019. I find them.
I didn't see it.
Portable radio replacement, 37 radios, $79,935 in 2019.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
And I had a question. We asked Brian Watson about looking at upgrading the wire.
I have not heard back from Brian, so
Okay.
I will check into that.
So us agreeing to this tonight, we could still change that?
We
If
could still amend it, yes.
Okay, okay. So I think we talked about potentially putting fiber in, or what price would that be long-term?
Anybody else?
And just a clarification on, because toward the end, there's several pages of like, for Public Works and the Police Department, various things that are being requested. But the years say 2019 to 2023. So I'm trying to figure out.
What years?
Yeah, is that just like an overall estimation, or what's the thinking on that?
Under the project name on most of them, I'm seeing like 2021 walk behind cement saw. And I've got some notes if I changed it. So if you look under the project names for the equipment especially, they'll have the years that they're in.
And that's like a summary sheet, is that what you're saying?
The detail sheets in the back?
Yeah, I'm looking at each of the detail sheets, right? Oh, I see. It's sometimes written in there by hand.
Correct.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha, sorry, okay.
Anybody else? Is there a motion?
I'll move we approve the 2019-2023 capital improvement plan.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action on adoption of preliminary resolution 23-18 on special assessments for 2019 street improvements. Vine Street from 9th Street to Wisconsin Street.
This is the first step that we have to take. As part of the assessment process, the public hearing will be scheduled, and then there'll be a final resolution presented to you once the bids are received. So we have to do this for every special assessment project we have. And the numbers that appear in here are just estimates. They're not the...
Okay.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion and a second to suspend. Roll call.
Morrison.
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
DeZiel.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Atkins Hoggett.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Motion is approved. Rules are
Sorry.
suspended.
I'm hungry.
Should have brought your food to the meeting.
Move to adopt 23-18.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. I don't have anything other than to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And obviously, we're going to be talking about going into closed session, but so that's mostly for everybody that's not going to hang around for when we come back. So everybody have a good time. Anybody else suggestions?
Jenny just asked me to remind everyone that the nomination papers are due January 2nd. There is a link on the front page of the city website if anybody has any questions, but that's all you needed, right, Jenny?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, one thing. Just kind of inform the board. I believe it should be in the paper this week, but I can announce it publicly now that the City of Hudson was awarded another urban forestry grant for 2019. Again, so that's through the DNR. It's in the amount of about $24,000 to go towards EAB eradication, that kind of thing. So just kind of want to let the board know that we received that grant. So
Excellent. Nice job.
Congratulations to the tree ward.
Yep. Anybody else? All right, discussion possible action on entering into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub E to deliberate regarding negotiating strategy where competitive or bargaining reasons require with respect to potential settlement of Menard's assessment case.
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to go into closed session. Roll call.
Morrison.
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
DeZiel.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Atkins Hoggett.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Step across the hall.
That joke's already
Everybody
been
here? We back in open session. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to direct the city administrator to direct the city attorney to drop the.
Well, the attorney for this.
Okay, the attorney for
Menard's
this.
case, yeah.
And
Authorize the
and authorize the mayor to sign it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Once more, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope everybody has good holidays.
Move to adjourn. Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned.
Hey.
Thanks, everybody.